Coach's Corner continues as we have our wrap-up show for Ponca City High School baseball this season, and Coach Burris is with it. Wildcats went 18-17 this year and went out kicking and screaming with 2 close losses in the regionals. And Coach, first of all, a winning season. Congratulations. I know your first year. You're very proud of that.
Yes, I am. I told the seniors it wasn't quite where we wanted to end up. I know it's not quite where they wanted to end up, but overall, a lot of good things that came about from this year, and it's something that, they shouldn't hang their heads on. They should be proud of. I wish in the regionals we could have found a way to, get one of those close games and pull it out. We were in both of them, had our shots, and breaks just didn't go our way. So.
You lost a lot of close games this year, didn't you, Coach?
Yes, we did. We'll have to go back and look at the overall season, but we played a lot of one-run games that we weren't fortunate enough to pull out. We had a lot of extra inning games, and some of those extra inning games, I'm really not sure. That's what we got to go back and look on to see if we actually won one of them or not. But we were in a lot of our ball games for sure. You
look at the season where about midway through the season, you guys hit a little 2.5-week spurt there where you were really tough to beat. There was not many teams beating you. And then at the end of the season, I don't know, sometimes pitching gets worn out, but it just looked like that in the competition later in the season, too, it was really tough. Everybody was kind of gearing up for regionals. But wouldn't you say this season had a couple of seasons within the baseball season?
Yes, it did. We talked about it as a staff afterwards, and it was we never really could find that balance. We early in the year we were pitching it really, really well, and we're swinging it as well. Then we started getting into a little period where we were doing both pretty well, and when we started doing that, then we started winning a lot of games. And then as the season went on, we found out that we would hit some, but we couldn't pitch. It just never really matched up. And towards the end of the season, we did have some things as far as dealing with pitchers and their arms and trying to overcome those. We lost Blake Shepard there for a little bit, and it's coming off a stretch in which he was playing really, really well, and it just, it affected our team in some ways.
And people may say one player, but, your ball club, you had so many different components in that field, so many guys that could play different positions that really one guy out of the lineup, it may not make a difference for a lot of teams, but it really did for your ball club.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that was a kid that he went over against Bigsby at Bigsby, and we brought him in late, and he was able to come in and really shut the door on some people, and him at the plate was, kind of a big deal. Our lineup was so dictated off of 1 or 2 kids that could get us going, and, whenever you lose a kid that was getting us going a lot of the times, it does affect you. But I mean, he was also one that towards the end of the season, he was probably in the upper 80s off the mound. And any time in high school baseball that you lose a kid that can throw that hard with that good a command, it does affect your team in some ways.
Well, last week was an unusual week for your team because you were supposed to start regionals on a Thursday, and with all the weather forecasts, they moved things up a day, which I don't know whether that had any bearing on it or not, but you came up against Muskoge's always got a good team, and you lost a 1-run game to them, and then Sand Springs, who didn't have a great record, but I bet they were a tough ball club. They were a state tournament team a year ago, and you lost 3-2 to them, so you lost to 2 good teams by 1 run. Did the move up have any effect, and what about those 2 ball games?
Move up doesn't really affect much. I mean, it changes a little bit of how you go about practice-wise and doing things like that, and whether the kids had that mentality of waiting for Thursday. I really don't think so. I mean, they were ready to play on Wednesday. We played well. That was the thing about it. I mean, we played well enough to win, and I said, just unfortunate that we couldn't get the break here or there to be able to get us a victory. And, Muskogee, we played them earlier in the year. They were a tough team. Sand Springs, whenever we saw them, we don't know how they lost as many games as what they did. They had a lefty that was really good that threw the first game, and then they threw a freshman that was in the mid to upper 80s against us in the second game, and had some other kids as well. So they were a solid ball club. Just didn't quite happen. Just unfortunate in that regard.
And going into the announcement of regionals, you knew where you were going to go, except right up until that final victory you had over at Bartlesville. But when you saw that it was Muskogee, Sand Springs, and then Broken Arrow, the host team, you probably said to yourself, this is going to be a really, really tough thing for us to get accomplished.
It was, and I mean, that was 4 tough teams. If you look at that regional compared to every other regional that was out there, I mean, there are a lot of 1-run, 2-run, 3-run ball games. One exception was whenever Broken Arrow played Muskogee on the first day, and they kind of handled them pretty easily. But other than that, I mean, it was a tough regional going in, and we knew that we'd have to go out and play well to be able to get that, and we'd have to get a few breaks.
Other than, I think, 4 seniors, you have the nucleus that has to excite you and your coaching staff coming back next season.
Yeah, it does. You know, with my staff that I have, and I'm very, very lucky to have each and every single one of those guys, they do an excellent job. But, you know, just in the fact that another year underneath my system, another year to grow and develop, we're going to go about this summer, try to change a few things, go into the off season, work on a few things that we need to work on. But with this group that we have coming back, the fortunate thing for us is it's not a major overhaul. It's just kind of fine-tuning a few things here and there, and next year we've got a lot more home games. And so, I mean, it's very exciting. We'll return quite a few starters. We'll return majority of our guys. We lose 2 main starters and some other key contributors, but I mean, other than that, we've got a bunch of guys coming back that can fill the role and some young kids that can step in as well. So.
Well, every coach does it differently as far as the summer program is concerned. Some coaches are real involved. Some use it as a break to be with their, whatever families. But what's your philosophy on summer ball, and how will you approach this summer with your summer team?
Well, for this summer, I'm going to be in charge of the older group. Coach Denoya, Jeremy Denoya, he'll be with me as an assistant. And then I'm leaving the younger group to the 2 Swain brothers to go coach. And, all of those guys can do an excellent job as far as coaching that. And if there was something to happen where I wouldn't be there, I've got full faith in them to be able to step in and take care of the situation. But we're going to go out. We're playing about 22 games, and we're playing tournaments every weekend with both squads. So these kids will get about 46, 47 games. Older group, we're going to step up a little bit in the competition this summer, take them to 2 elite showcases to see how they stack up against some of the best in the region, and see if we can get some more of these kids noticed as well. Because we've got the potential to have quite a few kids sign off of this group for next year.
That's great. Well, there's a fine line there, because you're young, married, with kids, and some of your assistants also have families. There's a balance there, isn't it, where you have to take some time for yourself and give some time to those guys. So, people say it's got to be 12 months of the year, but it really has to be kind of a mixture in there where you do get some time to yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've learned and been very fortunate in the fact that I've got a great system at home, great support system. My wife does a wonderful job of being able to balance things and everything else, but I try to find that time wherever I'm away from everything. And with baseball, it requires a lot as far as the travel, the time spent with the kids, the time working on the field, and everything else. But when I do have that little bit of time, I like to spend away with the family and just kind of stay away from everything for a little bit. And I know my assistants do the same thing as well. So.
Absolutely. Great season this year. 18 wins for our Ponca City baseball team. And, Coach, appreciate it. Good luck next year, too. And have a great summer as well. And don't forget to be watching, as the high school team will be playing summer ball this year over at the high school field. Those young players will also be out there. Get out and support their summer league baseball efforts. That's Coach's Corner. For Coach Burris, I'm Phil Turney.